Good morning. Happy Monday. I washed the shirt over the weekend. Swear to God, I promise. So, 4th of July week, if you're here in the States, one of my favorite times of year. This is a great week. People are out having fun. We're grilling stuff. We're blowing stuff up. That's what we do. We're Americans. So, one of the things that happens to us is, we set a goal and then we go to accomplish the goal. It doesn't work out one time or two times or three times, and then we compromise. Then we decide, I don't really need to be, that happy or that successful. It's okay if I stay right where I'm here and right where I'm at right now. The message of this is to tell you, don't ever compromise. Stick with the goal that you have for a couple of reasons. Number one, so that you can go accomplish the goal. But number two, there's a reason that you set that goal. Remember, we don't have the desire. The word desire means of the Father. We don't have the desire without having the corresponding ability to achieve that outcome. And if you aren't on the path to achieving that outcome, you're not being the most of who you can be. And so you're not going to feel fulfilled and you're not going to feel happy. It's just like a lot of times when people are setting goals, they'll have these goals that they think aren't important and are wastes of time. They'll have things like they want to learn how to sing or paint or sculpt or fly a helicopter or whatever. And they'll go, well, that's not practical. And so they won't include it. But the problem with that is there's a part of them that wants to work on that particular area of themselves. And when they don't, then that part dies. And so they're not being the most of who they can be. And the other side is when they start to explore that area, it does more than just make that area good. It makes their whole life good. Steve Jobs talks about how, his year in college that he spent, he kind of drifted around and took all these different classes that at the time you looked at it and said, man, this guy's just wasting time. He's not doing anything. But in the end, those classes actually turned out to be very impactful for him. One of them was calligraphy. Because he took calligraphy, he fell in love with all these different fonts. And because he fell in love with different fonts, he made sure that the Macintosh had the fonts, even though everybody in the Macintosh project said, look, nobody needs them. They're not practical. They take up too much space. They take up too much RAM. They take up too much memory. It's too difficult. But he insisted that, in fact, all those fonts were there. And as a result, Macintosh had fonts as a result of that because Windows copied everything that Macintosh did. Windows had fonts, and now we have all of these fonts that we all use and we all like. That all came about because he took a class that at the time seemed impractical and because he refused to compromise. So whatever it is that you wrote down when you did your goals, and if you haven't done them, it's time to do them again. Whatever you write down, there's a reason that you write it down. There's part of you that needs to explore that particular area. And even though it might look impractical, exploring that particular area is going to expand you to become more of who you are supposed to be, which is going to impact all of the practical areas. You're going to find different skills and parts of you in expanding those unpractical areas that positively impact the practical areas. Tony Robbins talks about when he learned how to fly a helicopter. He was like, oh my God, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. This is just because I want to have fun. It really isn't going to help me. But he does not compromise. And so since he wrote it down, he started taking helicopter lessons. Well, what he learned is in order to fly a helicopter, you have to be unbelievably steady and stable. Just a little thought and a little movement will tilt a helicopter 90 degrees. So when he learned how to fly a helicopter, he learned better how to be more stable and in the middle and not go off in one direction or another, which was a challenge that he had as in his youth. So he said flying that helicopter actually made him more centered, more stable, less likely to fly off the handle, less likely to go off in a direction, which vastly positively impacted the rest of his life. So the message, don't settle, don't compromise. If you wrote it down, work towards it. If you ever thought it, then there's a reason. You were given the desire, which means you were given the corresponding ability to go achieve it. And when you're on your way to achieving it, that's when you're going to feel the most you. Remember, it's not the goal that matters. It's who you have to become in order to achieve that goal. So as you head into this week, what is it that you need to work on that you haven't worked on because it wasn't practical or because you decided to settle because the first 2 or 3 times it didn't work out? And work on that this week. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.